Thank you so much, Owen, for asking you to be here. We met after Indaba, and we had a great chat about words over a cup of tea and a cinnamon bun, I think. And Owen, we had a good word nerd conversation where we were talking about our favorite words, and then Owen suggested that I could come here and talk about some of my favorite words to you. So it's great to be speaking somewhere cool to cool people. Hello. So these are some words about me. Naresh Ramchandani are words, they're my name, I guess. Londoner, Indian parent, average guitar player, and writer. I mean, I'm a writer, and these are some of the words I've written. I've written lots and lots of words, but these are some of the ones, some campaigns and charities I helped to found, and et cetera, et cetera. And in all the time I've been writing, I think I've developed a set of favorite words, like favorite children, and I just wanted to talk to you about 3 of them today. So, first word.
Home.
So the Oxford English Dictionary defines home as the place where one lives permanently, especially as a member of a family or household, a fixed place of residence. So that's not a bad definition, but for me it's kind of just a little bit, it's kind of just a bit too English. It's kind of a bit stifled, I think. It's sort of a bit reluctant to emote because I think home as a word just emotes so readily. It's 4 letters kind of forming 4 walls around a safe space in which in which nakedness and love and argument and privacy and sociability can all kind of spread their kind of mess over this sort of slightly sanitized definition. Because home is so emotional. I think home is lying in bed when you're a child and hearing your parents' voices kind of muffled from the kitchen below and knowing that here everything is safe. Or home is getting up super early and knowing exactly where to put your feet so you don't activate the creaky floorboards that would wake up your partner and wake up your partner's wrath. And home is your daughter not getting into the college she was hoping to get into and sitting next to her on her bed and putting your arm around her and telling her without words that here in time everything will be fine. Or home is coming back to the place you live after being away and finding it perfectly clean or totally, thrillingly buzzy, suddenly buzzy, or wonderfully messy compared to where you've been as you come back home, and in the middle of home, the place where you feel most at peace. So, going to show my age now. Country road, take me home. Home where my thoughts are waiting silently for me. Stuff of poems and the stuff of songs, but not quite the stuff of cliche, because I think home is something that we all feel. I think we all feel intense pleasure when we have it and intense pressure or stress when we don't have it, which is why we take our homes and we guard them with window locks and chains and alarms. And it's why I think the story of all those millions of Syrians fleeing, crossing Europe, looking for a home, I think is universally affecting. I think it touches us all. And it's why I think the recent rise of nationalism in this country, shown through UKIP and its successes in the election last year, and even the Brexit debate now, I think is like a ghost from the past for me, a kind of a middle-class roast potato version of the go-home rage that I had to endure as a child growing up in Britain, where some people wore their hatred just a little bit too openly. My favorite words come and my favorite words go, but home has always been one of them, with its sort of simple shape and its very straightforward sound, but the universally human idea I think it represents. So home, that's the first word. Second word.
Pathetic. 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 Pathetic.
as a rule, I try not to be unpleasant to people. It's just such a bad idea on so many ways. I mean, unpleasantness demeans the person you're being unpleasant to. In multiple ways. It makes them feel either stupid or hurt or betrayed or violently vengeful or all of those things. And I think it demeans you in so many ways as well. It makes you feel sort of snobbish or snappish or patronizing or petty or just a giant jerk or all those things. So just generally, being unpleasant to people is not a good idea. But there are some moments where you just can't help it. When you're confronted by the unfathomable idiocy or staggering selfishness of someone, and what happens is that the kind of snarky part of you gets the better of the Gandhi part of you, and you are deliciously but wrongly compelled to tell the other person exactly what you think of them. And that is when you need the greatest put down known to humankind, English language put down known to humankind, the word pathetic. So let's take the word pathetic and we'll slow it down so you can see what a brilliant job this word does. So pathetic starts with the p sound, a withering p, right? The lip kind of sneering and curling into a shape of utter disdain, p, right? And so after that sort of magnificent lead comes the intellectual center, the Greek bit, the ancient Greek bit, pathos, okay? So I'm behind on my slides. Pathos. So even if you don't know what the word pathos means, you suspect there's something really clever at work here, that behind the insult, people like Socrates and Aristotle are eating olives and sort of shaking their heads and laughing at your general hopelessness. And if you do know what pathos means, it's worse because you know you're now pitied by the whole of humankind. And then after the intellectual center of the word comes the final flourish, the ick part, the ick, pathetic. You're spitting in the receiver's face. You know, it's a spray, a subtle or not so subtle spray that leaves your victim feeling utterly humiliated. So it's this combination of style and sophistication together that make pathetic tower above every other kind of insult there is known to humankind. So compared to the melodramatic put-downs, like awful or appalling or diabolical, pathetic has consummate style, effortless style, existing in the world of Chanel No. 5 and Vogue cigarettes and pressed linen suits and cufflinks. And compared to the melodramatic put-downs, like unacceptable or not good enough, which my team like a lot, pathetic actually carries true disdain because it makes you feel, if you're called pathetic, it makes you feel like you've committed a monumental cock-up that's somehow fed by your ineptitude and laziness. And I think compared to the single syllable disses, you dick, you shit, you ass, pathetic has real weight. I mean, these things are kind of light, they're easy to kind of brush off. But when someone calls you pathetic, you know that they've studied you forever and really thought about it before coming to the inescapable conclusion that you or your work are utterly worthless. However it's used and whenever it's used, pathetic is, I think, the H-bomb of the English language and leaves its receiver with little dignity and even less chance of finding any soon. I mean, it's so bad, I think, that I haven't used the word for, I don't know, decades, 2 decades, 20 years. But it's nice to know that when it's time to be unpleasant to people, I've got a word as fabulously foul as pathetic at my disposal. Have we got time for a third? Okay. Third word.
Maybe.
So I'm going to be a little autobiographical here. So when I was younger, I wanted certainty. That's what I wanted in my life. I wanted my judgment to be quick and absolute on any subjects I came across, whether it was about art or music or film or current affairs or friendship. I wanted to be able to say yes or no or right or wrong or absolutely or never or good or bad about anything I came across, and not just say it, but be heard to say it, pronouncing wherever possible in the mistaken hope that my cleverness plus speed would dazzle. In short, for example, did the Pixies invent grunge by themselves? Absolutely, of course they did. You know, do good parents ever divorce? Never. Is The Wasteland by T.S. Eliot a significant poem? It's the greatest poem ever written. In short, I was an opinionated arse who used the word maybe around, I would say, less than a dozen times in my first 25 years on this planet. And so imaginary therapists. So imagine there's an imaginary therapist. Do you think you wanted to deal in bolshy certainties because you were a young man whose main concern was impressing people? Absolutely not. Imaginary therapist. Do you think perhaps, then let me put it another way, do you think perhaps that the opposite of certainty, which is doubt, struck you as a weakness? Me, yeah, maybe. The April birds and the maybes, all there in a garden of possibilities that I learned to see as I became less young. A garden separated from a room where everything is known by a door, and the door can be slammed shut by a yes or a no, or an absolute, or left open by a maybe, allowing you to step out of this room where you know everything into a space where you can explore and find something perhaps new. You know, is it possible that poetry, for example, is not in terminal decline, but it is alive and as vibrant and culturally relevant as ever, or more so, because of rappers like Kanye or Kanan? You know, maybe. You know, or is it possible that a generation who are born natural to social media, or for whom social media is not even second nature but first nature, that they do not represent a cause for worry, but they're a genuine evolution of the species? You know, is it possible? And the answer is maybe. I will say maybe. You know, may, 2 syllables of 2 letters each, pivoting around the 5th letter, Y, like a set of scales, in no hurry to come down on one side or the other, in no hurry to judge, and with no anxiety about looking weak, because thinking things through is not weak, it's strong. And taking your time to decide is good, it's fine, it's strong, and it's far stronger than dealing out bolshy opinions or being too certain too soon. So maybe is not the easiest word to say, but as I've become less young, I like that euphemism, it's become easier to say, and it's become perhaps, or maybe, my favorite word of all. So those are 3 words that I really like. I like loads of words, actually. There's a whole bunch more, so if anyone wants a really, really, really long talk, I can come and do that. But I guess what all of these words are is I suppose they're an appeal. They're an appeal for us to think about the language we use, and where possible, to think about each and every word, because each and every word has the power to mean so much and do so much. Thank you very much.